Shout out to the anonymous person that sent the tip on PSN profiles to me via DMs and let me know that Ghost of Yōtei is not doing so hot, at least out of the gate. Now, I want to be very clear with this video. I do not know for sure what the numbers mean. This is just for entertainment purposes only. I said, yikes. PSN profile displays just 3,000 Ghost of Yōtei owners of the game. Not off to the best start, Sucker Punch. For full context, this number only represents a small percentage of actual buyers, typically less than 1%. But when compared to other titles, oof. So we got 3,000 game owners on PSN profiles. With how PSN profiles works, if you're not familiar with it, is you have to connect your PlayStation account to PSN profiles to share your trophies earned, compare them, and contrast and share and chat with people in the leaderboards and stuff like that. Less than 1% of PlayStation owners actually do this. So when I say 3,000 game owners, I don't mean that's how many copies sold of the game. I mean, that's how many copies sold of the less than 1% of people that use PSN profiles. But what is interesting about PSN profiles and why I do want to bring this up is because we don't have Steam database. We can't just see a concurrent player count, but we can see the stats of this game compared to competition on PlayStation 5 to get a general sense or a vibe of how the game is doing. And again, for entertainment purposes only, because who knows? Maybe the game is blowing doors and Sucker Punch is just being really quiet right now and they're making so much money behind the scenes and they're selling millions and millions and millions of copies and they just aren't saying anything yet. I don't think that's the case, but maybe it's the case. And we have, compared to, we'll say, Borderlands 4, nearly 15,000 game owners, Borderlands 4. Again, compared to not 7,000, not 5,000, 3,000. And remember, Borderlands 4 just came out last week, okay? Most game sales are day one. That's pre-orders and launch day. So sure, you're going to have a trickle-down effect, and there's going to be, obviously, an increase in game owners. And it's not apples to apples right now because Borderlands 4 has been out a week longer. But still, 3,000 on launch is not great. If I was Sucker Punch and I saw that number, I'd be like, oof, that's really low compared to Borderlands 4. It's also really low compared to Silksong. It's also really low compared to Skate. And Skate, I'll be honest, Skate really surprised me. Skate has nearly 22,000 game owners on PSN profiles compared to 3,000 Ghost of Yōtei. Okay, so you can try to cope if you are a Sony pony and be like, oh no, bro, there still needs time. You don't know. Maybe it hasn't registered all the people. Maybe. Again, maybe it hasn't. I'm just saying, based off of other games that have come out around this time, I know it's still very early for Ghost of Yōtei, to be fair. It's not great. That's all I'm saying, okay? To be fully transparent with everything. OZ Men says, it doesn't make sense for Yōtei 3K owners, 7K players. And I thought that was a good question. Let's clarify it. Grok, why does PSN profiles display less owners of a game than players of a game? And Grok replied saying, PSN profiles game owners counts users who have synced the game to their site profile, updated daily. Recent players, in quotes, updates more frequently as trophies are earned. For new releases like Ghost of Yōtei, this can cause temporary discrepancies where recent players appear higher until the next full sync. It's likely a timing issue, not actual sales data. So again, now that we have that in mind, we see it might say 3,000 game owners, but there's obviously likely far more than that. It just has not synced yet. At this point, there's at least 7,225 game owners on PSN profiles. Extrapolate that out and doing some napkin math is curious. Or I'm not going to try that name. Stephanie Vacour is world champion. Says a bit of napkin math on what this means. We know the sales ratios of Silksong by platform. 76% were on PC, 12% on PlayStation. Silksong peaked at 587,000 Steam concurrents. If that's 76% of the whole, then 12% would be 92,000. And if 14,258 owners of PSN profiles translates to 92,000 concurrent, then 3,000 owners on PSN profiles translates to around 20,000 owners. Assuming this formula translates, which it should be in the ballpark, if we could see PS5 concurrent players like we can for Steam, Yōtei would have peaked under 20,000 today. With no sales on other platforms, that's terrible. Vargas says Spider-Man sold over 22 million plus the players through PS1, PS Plus, but PSNP tracks 1 million owners. Well, if we assume the ratio is 1 to 22, that's terrible. That would mean the game sold 66,000 copies. The weekend is coming up still, so it will be a bump. I honestly hope it fails utterly. Not always. Remember, this factors all the pre-orders. That's a good point. Usually the weekend bump comes in when there's a fear of missing out, when there's FOMO going on. I don't see any FOMO happening whatsoever with this title. This is a live look at PSN profiles. Let me refresh it just so we see it. Yep, it has not updated for the game owners, but the recent players has, which is probably a more accurate number to go by, which, like I said, is typically 1% or less of the overall owners of the game. But extrapolate those numbers out, it's still not great at all. And something I found pretty curious is, you know what is doing really well right now? Ghost of Tsushima. I know you're all shocked, but Ghost of Tsushima, and over the last, we'll say, pull it up to 6 months, there was a bump when it came out here, and then it dropped after that, and then it started to come back up again. So a good view of the last 3 months is it's kind of like whatever, 3,000, 2,000, 2,700, 2,800, and now it's spiking back up, getting over 6,000 concurrent on Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut on SteamDB. And I got to be honest, guys, with my own personal bias being in full effect right now, Ghost of Tsushima is one of the best games I ever played. And the best part of Ghost of Yōtei for me is that people want to play Ghost of Tsushima. And I encourage that. As much as I don't like Sucker Punch, I don't like what they stand for right now, and I don't like how when you buy Ghost of Tsushima, the money goes to Sucker Punch and supports them. But I feel like it would send a really big message to them if everyone goes and buys original Ghost of Tsushima and no one buys Ghost of Yōtei and say, this is what we want. More of this. Go back to being based, make amazing game experiences, and we'll buy your products. But we're not just going to consume product and move on to next product without any kind of conversation. And this one I found interesting as well. This comes to us from Grums. He says, oof, this does not sound good for Ghost of Yōtei. This comes to us from Kitsu, who says, played like 4 hours of Ghost of Yōtei today. The game is aggressively mid. Story's all right. Nothing outstanding so far. Average revenge plot. The combat wants to be a duel where you are able to strike, block, and parry, and can learn even more things throughout the game. You get dual katanas very early on, with an option to swap between one blade or two. But the game forces you which weapon to use against which enemy weapon. Solo blade against katana wielders, dual blades against spear wielders. That is retarded. I hate that. I don't like limits being put on my game. If I have the ability to dual wield, let me dual wield. Don't force me to not be able to dual wield in certain scenarios. I do not like that at all. The game has way too many gimmicks and mini games that seemingly are only there to show you what the PS5 controller can do and to artificially inflate the time you spend in the game. Instead of feeling immersed, it's unnecessary and a literal waste of time. For example, when camping in the open world, you have to start up your own fire by swiping up many times and hitting R2 over and over again. Oh, good God, that sounds annoying. You have to cook your food by using the gyroscope of the controller and physically moving it down. I mean, that could be fine, but if you have to do it often, it could get annoying. Sure, a cute gimmick, but no actual purpose was served. And having to do this every single time is just a waste of time. Yeah, that would wear on me. $80 for this is a waste. Do not spend your money on this. Don't even buy it on sale, lol. Just replay the original. Guys, what have I been saying from day one with Ghost of Yōtei? All I've been saying, play Ghost of Tsushima. It's such a good game. You're doing yourself a disservice for not playing Tsushima. Don't play this slop. Let's see what this person has to say here. Single wield.
What? Dual katana effective against pole. Oh, shut the fuck up.
So you can switch between them, but it's not effective. So you have to switch for you to be able to defeat them easier. That's obnoxious.
Oh my, are you for... That is actually so lame. That is so fucking lame. Like, let me choose what kind of weapon I want to play with.
By the way, I know it's going to sound ridiculous when I say this. This is why you don't want Marxists and communists in gaming. I know. Because what does Marxism have to do with not letting you dual wield? Because they want to add restrictions to shit to make you do what they want to do. It's part of their mindset. Once you realize it, you cannot unsee it. Now, also, I'm just gonna mention on the side here, we're supposed to believe that this chick just took out 4 armed guards by herself without a problem. I mean, maybe. I've seen Kill Bill. I guess it's possible. But come on.
Yeah, okay. What? I'm falling off the mountain, man.
Yeah, so that is a taste of Ghost of Yōtei. And people aren't loving it. They continue, they say, also, I sound really annoyed in the clip because I was looking forward to playing with dual blades. Huge dual blade enjoyer, but being forced to swap soured it so much for me. And they said, oh, also to add this, there's often chance encounters of groups of people that want to kill you because they were ordered to. Often, last one surviving starts begging for his life, and you start pressing him for questions. Atsu will always let the guy live. The player does not have any say in this. What the fuck? For a person out for revenge with nothing in life left to lose, that is an out-of-character decision and just feels weird. At least give the player the choice. That is so fucking weird. This is funny. For a person out for revenge with nothing in life left to lose. Sounds familiar. Where have I heard this story before? AC Shadows? Sorry, another thing to add. Camera angles feel awkward at times and hard to adjust. Visually, game looks great, by the way. I will say, visually, the game looks great. I don't have any issues with graphics. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but graphics do not make a game. They can certainly help enhance an experience, but they do not make a game. Also, yes, you can skip some gimmicky stuff, but there are mini games that are not skippable, like bamboo cutting. Hope you guys like bamboo cutting. This is just my opinion. If you like all this, power to you. Jesus. Some people getting unnecessarily aggressive. Oh, the Sony ponies have found Kitsu, guys. Kitsu quote tweets. This has long ago left my circle. I'm not a game reviewer. I'm not a journalist, just a gamer. This is just my opinion, and you don't have to agree with it. I did add more context with comments and corrected things where I was wrong. English isn't my first language either, so don't take every word so literal. Most importantly, if you like the game, play it. It's just another person on the internet. You don't need to give a shit about my opinion, which in a weird way is exactly what makes their opinion valid. Oh, the irony. But yeah, that's Ghost of Yōtei. Again, we don't have official sales numbers. And some people might look at this as, oh, you're reaching, you're stretching. Maybe I am, but I'm doing what I can with what I have right now. And I'm very curious to see if we're going to have any kind of big confetti announcement by Sucker Punch and gets retweeted by Sony saying 3 million sold, 5 million sold, 8 million sold. Or if we're going to have to wait a few weeks and then we hear 1 million sold. Be like, well, bro, come on. In 2025 for a massive property and a major AAA environment? Like, yikes, bro. Yikes. What are we doing here? But we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted on it. But for this one, I will leave that right there.